All right, hello everyone, and welcome to OneTake, a 15-minute interview series with InsurTech executives brought to you by InsurTech Denver. This is a unique series in that there are no edits, as you can see, and no do-overs. I'm Marc Wheeler, co-founder of InsurTech Denver, and with me today is Emily Mertz, head of marketing for Slice. Welcome, Emily, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Marc. It's nice to be here.
Well, for those who are not familiar with Slice, can you tell us about the company and your role in marketing?
I sure can. So Slice Labs, or Slice, is a technology company. We used to refer to ourselves as startup. We are 5 years in the making, so I'm not sure when that startup tag is removed. But we are a company that helps carriers or tech platforms innovate their insurance offerings into something that is more on demand, usage-based, just fits the way that we as consumers live our lives today. So we partner with a whole gamut of different companies and develop insurance offerings.
Oh, that's great. Now, are you on the P&C side, commercial side? Doesn't matter?
Yeah, so the focus now mainly has been on the P&C side, but I don't think that'll be the case for much longer. So more news to come on that.
Ooh, all right. We'll look forward to that.
Yeah.
Now, what brought you into the insurance industry and InsurTech? I mean, is that something that most of us come out of college or that say, hey, I want to go into insurance?
No, it's certainly not. I started in the insurance technology space actually as probably my second job out of college. I was first a marketing manager for the Boys and Girls Club. And then I was offered a better, higher paying job in the insurance technology space. So moved into that, and then, networking, doors opening, job openings, it just evolved to joining Slice.
That's great. Well, it sounds very exciting. I know there's a lot of activity there, and I continue to see, Slice Labs, in the news. So it sounds like a lot of activity there.
Yeah.
Well, how has a company grown, and as it's grown, and gone through different iterations in that, what challenges have you faced as a company, and you as heading up the marketing side of it?
Yeah, I think every new company always has growing pains and bends in the road or on the path that you're on. At the beginning of COVID, so March, April timeframe of last year, we unfortunately had to let go of quite a few of our employees, but we are excited. I think COVID was like a blessing in disguise in a way, because it really kicked insurers to get moving with what they needed to do. And really, it was the straw that broke the camel's back in terms of realizing that they needed to do something to become innovative or obsolete. So we have been hiring as a company, we're growing. And we have a lot of different projects and business that we're working on. So, like I said, it's been a blessing in disguise as COVID goes.
Yeah, it's funny you should mention that because you hear all this conversation within the industry with regard to how COVID has accelerated, the digitization side of the business or other elements around that. I was listening to a session this morning, and one of the speakers was talking about how insurance kind of moved at its own pace and everybody just kind of moved together. And yes, they were making progress, but it was relatively slow. Where when COVID hit, everybody said, oh, we have to stop, we have to do something. And everything gets kind of sped up. You did what you normally do, in 9 months, that would take you a year or more to do.
Right.
So when you think about Slice and what's been happening over the last 18 months, how has it changed how you've done business or thought about business because of COVID?
So pre-COVID, our one of our processes was called a hackathon. So we had these in-person 2-day strategy sessions, ideation sessions, where we would really map out the journey, the customer journey, what we wanted the product to look like. And obviously that in-person shifted to virtual. So we launched a big campaign a marketing campaign around offering this virtual hackathon. And I think that opened up a lot of doors and crossed time zones where travel would have been more difficult to get a team, on a plane for 8 to 10 hours. And so switching over to this virtual hackathon process or methodology has really helped grow the business and break into new territories, new geographies, new product lines, et cetera. So it's been good for us.
That's great. Now, one of the things that's always a topic of conversation inside the industry, insurance or outside, is, what happens now that we're coming out of COVID, and the idea of, remote work. Is that something that's a topic of conversation for you folks, or are most of your folks remote, or how are you thinking about all that?
Yeah, we've always been, and we would like to refer to ourselves as a distributed company. So we've always been a distributed company. We have, I'm based in Denver, Colorado. We have someone else in Ohio. And then we have what we call our development or our technology group in Ottawa, Canada. So most of those employees and team members were used to going into an office. We also have quite a few people in Toronto. Yes, we've discussed what the future is going to look like. Moving to a remote or just, a remote workplace for me was nothing new. I've always been remote.
Sure.
It's new for a lot of the people in Ottawa, and some people love it and some don't.
Yep.
And so I think that we haven't put anything in any processes or any firm plans in place. We're just going to see how things roll out. But so far, everyone's done an amazing job with hitting deadlines and meeting deliverables. And it's not been an issue having all of our employees work from home. So I would assume that it's not going to be any disruption, whatever path we have moving forward with whatever kind of in-person office space we have.
Yeah, well, it's really been interesting. Google came out with their position, which is 3 days in the office and 2 days at your selected location, I guess is how they were putting it, around that. So I think there is going to be this hybrid, that occurs. I know that there's always concern about, productivity, engagement, and some of that. It sounds like that was not an issue for Slice at all.
No, it wasn't. And I think that just still, we still have that startup excitement and that buzz still, where people are engaged and they're excited to be working for an innovative company that's really making a difference. And so I think that keeps the engagement and the productivity up. I mean, and don't get me wrong, I'm sure that people have had their challenges sitting in the same space for months on end, but it hasn't reflected their work. So that's great to hear.
Yeah.
Great to see.
Well, that sounds great. Well, I think everyone will make that yet another adjustment, and companies will continue to move forward around that. And I think, as employees, this idea of having that flexibility, I think I used to live in the Bay Area. If I was back in the Bay Area, the idea of commuting again would not be very high on my list. So it's nice to be able to work out of the home and get that adjustment. Well, at the beginning of our conversation, you had mentioned a little bit about some of the new things that Slice was looking at. Anything else that's on the horizon that you can share as a company or as you see as an industry that will be important or of interest to our audience today?
Yeah, I don't know that I can share particulars. I can just say that for the horizon, the sky is the limit. I mean, there are so many carriers that still have room to innovate. There are platforms that can move into this space. And we're looking for that customer centric driven approach when we design our products. And I think that as everyone becomes, or we're already accustomed to it, but we're all accustomed to the Spotify or the Amazon like experience.
Right.
And we need to match insurance with that. And the insurance also needs to fit the way that we live our lives today, which it doesn't. So there's so much room. The sky's the limit. And we're excited to be pioneering this space.
Terrific.
Right
now. Oh, that's great. Well, let me see. I think those were all of the things that, I wanted to have us touch base on today. And it's been really great. But I do have a little peel back so the folks watching today can have a little bit better sense of who Emily is. So I have a series of questions. These are rapid questions. They'll come at you. So let's jump into those and then we'll take and wrap it up. So question number one, what songs or artists are on your playlist?
Well, I just went to a Devouchka concert at Levitt Pavilion. If the listeners who are in Denver have not been to Levitt, I highly recommend it. It's a huge outdoor space, tons of grassy open area for you to put a picnic blanket down and have a drink and listen to a band. So Devouchka, they made their name with the movie Little Miss Sunshine. A lot of their songs are in that movie, so I've been listening to them quite a bit since I went to that show.
All right. Thank you for sharing that. I'll have to check them out. So question number two, with the COVID restrictions coming off, what is going to be the first restaurant in Denver that you're going to go to?
I've already been going to.
Oh!
It's been nice. We can go.
Yeah. Well, what would you recommend?
Well, that's a tough one. I mean, I'm all over the board. I love sushi. I love Mexican. I was just craving oysters the other day. Ooh. So I can't think of one off the top of my head. I feel too.
Oh, those are great ones. Those are all good. I know I'm starting to venture out a little bit more. And I just got my 5280 magazine today.
Okay.
So I'm going to check out some of the new restaurants that are coming in.
Yeah,
all right, next question.
I was just going to say, I always like to look at restaurants in Rhino. They always have some fun spots.
They do indeed. It's just such a fun area too. Mm-hmm. All right, next one, Netflix series. Is there anything that you're watching or that you would recommend?
I'm watching The Handmaid's Tale. It's on Hulu. Netflix.
It doesn't have to be Netflix, any series.
Well, I'm watching Handmaid's Tale. The new season's out on Hulu. It's super disturbing.
That one I haven't jumped into that one yet. So
there's another series I watched. It was on HBO called The Undoing. It's with Nicole Kidman and Hugh Grant, and it was fantastic.
Very good. I did see that one, and it is on my list for one of those days that I can jump out and watch. Mm-hmm. All right, Saturday night beverage. Craft beer, wine, distilled, non-alcohol, or other?
Wine. Yeah, did you hear me? Wine.
Wine? Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yep.
One food that you won't eat?
Escargot. My 3-year-old son, he will eat it. I will not touch it.
Oh, that's so funny. Well, that's good that he likes to explore food around that. All right, final question. Final one. In high school, extracurricular activity. Were you in a club, sports? How did you spend your extra time in high school?
Yeah, I was a year-round athlete. So I ran track, I played tennis, and I was a figure skater up until about my sophomore year.
Wow, busy times. Mm-hmm. And how much of that's carried over to your adult life?
I despise playing tennis at altitude. I grew up in Chicago, and for some reason I cannot get the ball to stay in the court here in Colorado. And running, nope. I did pull out my rollerblades back. Those are, a 90s type thing. I pulled those out and I use those now, but none of the above, I guess.
All right, excellent. Well, that was it. Thank you so much for taking time today.
Thank you,
to be with us. Really, really appreciate it. And thank you for sharing with everyone. with regard to Slice and the wonderful things that you're doing there, and for your time and support. Of those who don't know, Emily is very involved in InsurTech Denver, so we really appreciate that as well.
Yeah,
So thank you so much. We really
thank you.
appreciate it.
Cool. Follow
Enjoy.
us on LinkedIn. Follow InsurTech Denver and Slice on LinkedIn.
There we go. Wonderful. Listen, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
All right. Thank
Thanks.
you.